OK, let's get to the Etihad's incredible scoreline then. Manchester United losing 6-3 against Manchester City. How impressive, Dean, were City today?
Yeah, they were incredible. They were, the way they approached the game, as you should for a derby of this magnitude. It's got to be with the tempo, the intensity of the team, which is what they started with. And Manchester United couldn't cope with the fluidity and the movement of the front 5 and 6. They were honestly fantastic. That was a joy to watch. In terms of just the goals we saw, there wasn't really a poor goal. It was just outstanding. And sometimes, yes, the Manchester United have to do better, defensively got to do better, but there was probably at least 3 of those goals that are almost impossible to stop. They were that good.
And was there a sign of intent, Lee, from Pep Guardiola from the off, when Rodri's not there, that he plays Gundogan in a sort of roving midfield role? Did he show United a lack of respect in that he didn't fear anything coming back the other way?
No, I don't think so. I think he knows he's got quality, and he knows he's got the strength and depth in that area. Dean's touched on it there. I think, you know, whatever team he picked today, he got right. You know, and they played with a real intent. They played on the front foot. I mean, the speed that they played at today was breathtaking at times. It really was. And you know, if I'm back to put the two teams together, I will say that Manchester United were miles off it. They didn't show any form of a derby game. I played in derby games myself, and you know, at least, you know, go in with that 110%. Even if it's not going well, you know, make it hard for Manchester City. The writing was on the wall when Jack Grealish made that run in the first few minutes where Dalot's brought him down. You just thought this could be a real tough afternoon. Varane goes off injured. I mean, it just got from bad to worse. Second half, they took their foot off the gas. And yeah, you know, do you credit Manchester United? There's a lot to do at the football club, there really is. If they're to come anywhere near being in the top 4, they've got a long way to go. That was men against boys. There were streets ahead, and like I said, the changes were rinsed, and it went in Manchester United's favour. So I don't know what you can take out of that from Ten Hag's perspective, but I'd be questioning some of them players and asking, did they really wear their heart on the sleeve and give 110%? I don't think they did.
Kevin, you're here for the late game, but you were watching the Manchester derby over there. For Manchester United, what are your conclusions? Is it the talent's there, but Ten Hag hasn't figured out how to deploy it, or is it there is a lack of quality, particularly defensive quality, to cope with teams like City?
I think it's going to take a little bit of time. They look like they haven't played together for a month, if I'm honest with you, and that's no excuse. But if you haven't played together for a month and then you come up against this Man City team, they could dismantle you when you've played last week, let alone for a month. So I think there's definitely some good signs. They had a goal in the end when Man City started taking off the De Bruynes of this world, etc. But there is a hell of a lot of work to do. That midfield doesn't look right to me. It doesn't look right to me. And Manchester City, without Rodrigo, just rotated in that centre. Gundogan could run up. You'd see Silva come in. And it was a very difficult day for Manchester United. 4-0 at half-time. If City would have pushed on second half, it could have been even worse. But they held back.
What is the problem in midfield, Dean? Is it just a lack of players with a defensive mindset and aggression?
Yeah, I think, and the knowledge to play that role. I think when things are happening as quick as they were today for Manchester United players, if you don't have that understanding of your position, and Eriksen isn't that player, he's not that player that understands how to track.
Can you play Eriksen and Bruno together?
Not in a game like this, which is why I said I thought it was arrogant and naive of Ten Hag to think you could just play the same way as you would do against other teams. You've got a great midfielder in Casemiro that would be perfect for a game like this, and you leave him on the bench, and you just left your back 4 totally exposed. I felt sorry for Dalot and Malacia especially early on, because Sancho and Anthony were doing nothing. They were jogging back, and that, as if that's what they'd worked on. Do you know what? We'll soak up a bit of pressure. We'll leave you a little bit higher up the pitch to exploit then City spaces. That's not going to work. That's pretending to defend, and they got exactly what they deserved in the first half, and City were just took advantage of it.
Well, Lee, you're a former midfielder. Are there players who exist at Manchester United who can patrol that midfield and regulate it yet? Casemiro presumably is the one.
Yeah, that squad. Well, Casemiro, he's played on the world stage, hasn't he? He's top class. You don't spend that amount of money on a player and not bring him into a game of this calibre.
Well, why aren't they playing him? Why would
I really don't know. I really don't know. But I mean, if you was to ask me, out of that midfield area, McTominay, Eriksen were sort of the central pivots, if you like.
Fred's on the bench.
Fred's on the bench, and you've got Casemiro. Casemiro would be, for this game, would have been in my starting lineup for sure, because you set a benchmark in that area, you win battles in that area. You're coming up against a Kevin De Bruyne. We touched on the movement in that midfield. Silva, Gundogan. You need someone who's going to protect the back line at times. And
you said to me straight after that first goal, Eriksen didn't track. You went Casemiro. That's what he does.
Yeah, because he's got a defensive-minded attitude. Eriksen is an advanced.
Eriksen to track? Should he not? Is he not a professional footballer?
Listen, he's a very good footballer, isn't he? There's no doubt about that. You want him on the ball. He is the silk of midfield. Get him on the ball, he'll pick passes out. You have to have a midfielder in there that can do so. We've got Bruno that played in there, non-existent.
Are they very similar, Eriksen and Bruno?
Well, you could almost say, I think Bruno will score your goals. He'll probably get in the box a little bit more. But Eriksen, watching him last season at Brentford, he was excellent. He picked them passes out. But today, you can't play them two players together. You have to have that bit of respect for Manchester City, the way they set up. They're away from home. You're going to be in for a game, and everyone has to be at their key battle. It has to be. And if one isn't performing, and there wasn't just one, there was 3 or 4 that was nowhere near, which just made it so easy. It was like a walk in the park for Manchester City.
And particularly for Erling Haaland, Kevin, let's bring you all in here. Look at some statistics for Erling Haaland. Quickest player to 3 hat-tricks in the Premier League history. Scored 3 back-to-back at home, which is the first time that's been achieved in the league. 14 Premier League goals in 8 games. And here he is, quickest player to 3 hat-tricks. It's taken him 8 matches, took Michael Owen 48, and we thought Michael Owen was sensational when he came through. How good is this player in the pantheon of greats you've seen, played with, watched, Kevin?
Yeah, look, one thing I will say about Erling Haaland, I thought his all-round game today was a lot better than people give him credit for, if I'm honest with you. Manchester City have been playing this false 9 for a couple of seasons, getting away with it, winning the title. Yep. They've been getting away with it. But Erling Haaland is a killer. He's just a killer. And you give him the opportunity and he will put the ball away. He's proven it week in, week out. We've seen it on the continent. And now he's come to the Premier League. Everyone was, will it take him a little bit of time? In that team, he's going to get chance after chance after chance. He could break all the records.
Well, yeah, top most prolific goal scorer after 8 games, Dean, as well. There were some people who suggested that perhaps he wouldn't do as well at City because they have a lot of the ball and play a steady build-up. Is that theory being thrown out the window?
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah, you can see the City players looking for him, getting their heads up and thinking, can I play that pass early because that's on now, to play it into the box. Still with quality, they're not just throwing it in. But you think of like trailblazing forwards throughout the sort of decades, and we've had many in the Premier League. And to me, Drogba was one of those players that I thought changed from 2 centre forwards to he could do it on his own as one. We saw the likes of Thierry Henry, obviously Alan Shearer. Van Nistelrooy I thought was a trailblazer in terms of how hungry. He is almost a mix of them all. Thierry's probably got things that he hasn't. The other 3, mix them together and you get Erling Haaland. He's that incredible in what he can bring. I've never seen a forward like him. I don't think I've ever seen a forward that's quite like Erling Haaland, which is why we should enjoy, unless you're a Manchester United fan, Liverpool. But you've got to enjoy and admire this.
And if you're going to stop him, is the first part of that stopping Foden and De Bruyne, Lee, realistically? Yeah, but he's not a Ronaldo, is he? You're talking about great strikers, the Brazilian Ronaldo, who would pick the ball up and destroy you running.
No, you've got. This is the thing. You haven't just got Haaland, and this is what defence is. They must be thinking any defences that are coming up against a front 3 of Haaland, Grealish, Foden, is it Mahrez? You've got De Bruyne that's in behind, Silva. You want to win your key battles. that boy is literally, I'm with Dean, he's something different. I watch his little bits of movement. Here, I mean, for the goal we're just watching again, he goes inside, he comes out, he doesn't stand still. This is a young man.
And a big man as well.
Yes. An athlete, an absolute athlete, can score goals with his head, left foot, right foot, his movement.
I mean,
you play with his dad.
That's not fair. Dean will tell you, I'm a striker. We thrive on that. You make the run when you know the player can deliver. And you've got Kevin De Bruyne. It's not fair. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I mean, he doesn't even point, does he? De Bruyne puts balls where you don't.
Where, you know, defenders can't get it, but only the striker can. But as I said, Haaland's all-round game today, finding Foden on the back post there, I thought his all-round game really came together today.
Yeah, it was excellent.
Well, knowing his dad, where does he get this from? Because his dad was a very different type of player, wasn't he?
Yeah, I played with his dad. His dad was a decent. He played fullback. He could play centre half. He could play centre midfield, holding. And I think he scored probably 1 or 2 goals in his career.
But he was in the back garden with. Yeah,
it must have been.
With Erling.
Must have been. And look, it's a great story. But this guy's a goal machine.
I think what the other thing is, he just seems to. Is it instinct? But he just seems to be in the right places at the right time. I mean, you guys have played centre forward, and you know, at times you'll make them runs and you'll think, I haven't been found out. But he just seems to be there on the vicinity of everything that seems to be in the box. His little bit of check, his movement.
He's scored a goal from a corner as well today, Dean, which shows that from a simple set piece, he's very potent. Because people said even though he's tall, he's not particularly good in the air, but that was a power header. Yeah,
but that's what I mean. He's got so many, and why I mean about a mix of all these great players we've seen over the years, because there isn't just. I think the only thing is he's probably not just going to dribble past 3 or 4. That's the only thing you can think of. But it's what he's setting, and he's young. Like normally, what Lee's talked about takes quite a long time to master the art of certain runs and the way you run off the back of defenders. And he's already got it. He's already got that, and that's why. You know, he's already got over 170 goals in his career, which is just mind-boggling.
Do you think all records are in sight? Season records, career records in the Premier League? Do you think they're all on the table now for Erling Haaland at his age? If he stays here, Real Madrid's been mooted, hasn't it? Of course.
Yeah, of course it is, and I think he's got that mentality as well, where if he doesn't score at least 1 goal, he's unhappy. You know, and he expects it.
He must be enjoying playing in this side.
Yeah.
He must be enjoying playing it. And he's got a smile on his face. The camaraderie between the lads, you can see they're messing about with the balls and all the rest of it. I mean,
do you think
3 goals and 2 assists.
Do you think he's surprised how good this City team is for him?
Yes, I think he is.
Yeah.
I think.
Is he made Foden more potent? You look at Foden, some of the finishes there, they're almost Haaland-esque, weren't they, with his left?
Well, again, when we touch on, like, you know, putting your focus on trying to stop one player, it's not now, is it? So it's opening doors for all the players that are in them forward lines. I mean,
it's not fair.
It's not fair, is it? Okay. I'd love to be amongst that forward line and just,
Is he a Ballon d'Or potential nominee? But how does he compare to the likes of Kylian Mbappe, Kevin?
For me, those 2 are the next 2.
Yeah.
And Kylian Mbappe decided to stay at PSG, which is great. But I think this move, I think City have to get the Champions League with him. If they do that, I think then you're going to start really propelling Erling Haaland for the Ballon d'Or. Because that's the only thing this City team haven't won.
With your Arsenal hat on, how fearful are you of Manchester City after seeing that?
Well, listen, I'm glad that the game got cancelled. That's what one thing I would say.
Yeah, we don't know when that's going to be. That's probably going to be the new year, isn't it?
Play it right at the end of the season. We don't mind that. But on a serious note, the way Arsenal are playing has been consistent. But that's the yardstick. That's the level. They do this week in, week out. And Arsenal are trying to get there. Listen, it's going to be tough, whichever way you look at it.
We look at the age of Haaland and Foden and Jack Grealish is 26, 27. How ominous is it for the rest of the Premier League at the moment, Lee? This season, for next season, for the next 5 seasons?
Like I said, I think Manchester City they're just streets ahead. And you look at the side. We touched on Arsenal beforehand, didn't we? Saying that who's next in line, and they have been consistent. They have been good, but I think, you know, with the youth and just the forward line, it is unfair in so many aspects. But You know, they've got the money to bring these players in. They've got the quality that are in behind these players, and I just think they'll just continue to dominate. I really do. And
Pep's got to leave, isn't he?
That's
The only thing that's really going to derail Manchester City.
And he will eventually, will he? Or do you think he could stay there for? I mean, he's a relatively young manager, isn't he?
Well, he is, considering what some of the ages of some of the managers that have gone on. For me, if he's there, then the Premier League have got a real problem.
Yeah.
To even get close to them is so tough.
I think it depends how he sees, because he'll see across the road Manchester United and what Sir Alex Ferguson did and that sort of legacy.
26 years.
And he might not do that long, but what I mean is in the next 5 or 6, if they were to continue, then he would set down an incredible legacy in England. It's whether he wants to do that, and maybe, like you talk about the Champions League, whether if they were to win that, would that change his mindset?
They've dropped 4 points this season, which means they can only get 110. But realistically, what do you think they're capable of? Where will the bar be this season? Will it be plus 100? They've done 100 before.
I would think they'd be there or thereabouts with 100 points, but they are vulnerable and they do let goals in now and again. So I think we will see as we get into the season, they'll pick up injuries and stuff.
They'll have a blip.
Yeah.
No, they will have a blip.
106 points.
Yeah, exactly. They have to have a blip, and against sides who counter-attack properly, we've seen them struggle. But the way they're going, you just don't see anybody being able to live with them.